Today is Wednesday of the 31st week in Ordinary Time. It's also the feast day of St. Charles Borromeo. Our reflection for today is based on our first reading, a reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Philippians. My beloved, obedient as you have always been, not only when I am present, but all the more now when I am absent. Work out your salvation with fear and trembling. For God is the one who, for his good purpose, works in you both to desire and to work. Do everything without grumbling or questioning, that you may be blameless and innocent, children of God without blemish in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation, among whom you shine like lights in the world, as you hold on to the word of life, so that my boast for the day of Christ may be that I did not run in vain or labor in vain. But even if I am poured out as a libation upon a sacrificial service of your faith, I rejoice and share my joy with all of you. In the same way, you also should rejoice and share your joy with me. My friends, the word of the Lord. Today's reading is a continuation of the letter of Paul to the Philippians that we've been hearing for the past few days. There were 3 points in the letter that struck me. The first of all is St. Paul urges the Philippians to work out their salvation with fear and trembling. I think it's important for us to know that the Jewish notion of fear comes much more closely to our word awe. We are supposed not simply to be afraid of the Lord. We know that that's not really the God that Jesus worshiped, but rather that we should have awe and reverence for the way in which God is working in us. We hear that God is the one for his own good purpose, works for you both to desire and to work. St. Ignatius placed a very, very high importance on our desires, that our desires themselves are holy. They are the signals that lead us, that guide us in the direction that will help us to live out the will that God has for us in our own lives. So we need to treat our own desires with great reverence, knowing that God is at work in our desires. And finally, a third point that struck me is that in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation, among whom you shine like lights in the world, as you hold on to the whole of life, we are to be lights on the mountaintop in a world that is torn by violence, in a world of strife, of anger, resentment, of insult, vituperation. Christians are called to be people of peace, people of reconciliation, people of the tender and kind word. And so in our day, in the midst of our own struggles, let us be that light in the world, light for others, and may we shine forth as those lights in the world to help guide and shed light on the road ahead of us, a road that will lead us to the Lord.